There are players who change games. Then there are players who change how the game is played. Steph Curry is the latter, the quiet architect of a seismic tectonic shift.
He was about 5'6".
Looks like a little kid.
150 pounds soaking wet.
That was when I first really understood I'm different.
And Lovedale keeps it for him. Curry! Are you kidding me?
When he first stepped onto an NBA court, he didn't merely bring a new shot. He brought a new geometry.
His first NBA triple.
He turned the three-point line from an optional weapon into the principal axis of modern offense.
Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang!
He recentered spacing, rewired defensive priorities, and rewrote the template of what a franchise can build around a guard. This is a long, cinematic portrait of Curry's rise. The childhood rhythm, the Davidson crucible,
When you are an underdog, you have to take what is yours.
the Warriors' gamble, the record-shattering seasons, the adjustments and setbacks,
Steph Curry is hurt.
and the cultural ripple that made basketball forever more fluid and far more precise. The earliest image worth keeping is of a boy at a hoop with a peculiar rhythm. The dribble, the scoop, the quick wrist snap that betrayed an intimate knowledge of arc and timing. His father, Del Curry, taught him to shoot for the face of the rim as if that surface were the only honest metric. Those hours of repetition, not glamorous, not highlight-driven, were the invisible ledger of all his later miracles. Stephen was not simply born with touch. He honed it like a craft, building micro-habits into an engine. The small rituals mattered: 1,000 shadow shots before dinner, an obsession with ball rotation, an unwillingness to settle for anything less than consistent perfection in a motion repeated until it became instinct. At Davidson, he was already a different animal. College coaches learned to game plan around his release. He was tiny among some competitors, but enormous in micro decisions. The way he read help defense rotations, the timing on back cuts, the courage to shoot over taller prospects when his team needed him. The 2008 NCAA tournament remains the first marquee chapter in Curry's legend, an underdog guard who made improbable shots and carried his team into national view. For viewers who watched those games in real time, it felt like watching a future self being born. The clutch gene was present, but what truly stood out was craft. He shot with a rhythm that simplified chaos. Golden State drafting Curry in 2009 was an investment in probability, a bet that precision compounds, that a weapon can scale into an entire system. Early seasons were a laboratory of pain and promise. Ankle injuries exposed structural vulnerabilities. They were reminders that even the most refined mechanics are coupled to bodies that can falter. Yet those setbacks forced innovation. Curry's team and trainers obsessed over biomechanics, altering routines and building a longevity plan that would let a high-volume shooter keep producing at elite efficiency across seasons. This was not merely recovery, it was redesign. Curry's innovations were both aesthetic and tactical. Aesthetically, he expanded the visible range of the shot. Threes from deep shifted from heroic exceptions into ordinary options. Tactically, the presence of a player who can punish defenses from 28-30 feet and further made spacing the new prime real estate. Coaches responded. Big men were pulled away from the rim. Teams valued floor-clearing movement and off-ball motion. Pick-and-roll defenses had to choose between sagging and collapsing. The game's geometry changed, and Curry's release became the fulcrum that tipped strategy. The 2014-15 season crystallized this alignment. Under Steve Kerr, Golden State's offense became a living organism. Movement without the ball, staggered screens, and a permissive philosophy allowed Curry to be a primary engine without being a singular isolation artist. Instead of monopolizing possessions, he orchestrated them through threat. Even when he didn't shoot, his presence changed where defenders had to be and how they had to move. The result was a championship and a new template, that of a team built around motion, pace, and mutually reinforcing skill sets. Curry's shot was the gravitational well. Teammates orbited and scored in the gravity's wake. Then came 2015-16, a season where possibility turned into historical force. Curry's unanimous MVP season and the Warriors' 73-win regular season redefined what a point guard could do in volume and efficiency. He shattered records for three-pointers, not as mere accumulation but as functional architecture, deep threes converted to points per possession advantages that opponents could not ignore. Still, the postseason proved a counterbalance. Basketball's human variables and circumstantial flux mean that numbers, however wondrous, do not guarantee ultimate success. Those finals memories pushed Curry and the organization to adapt and deepen. Curry's technique merits a careful, slow demonstration. Watch the release frame by frame. A compact knee bend that stores energy, an assuring hip rotation, the lightning wrist flick that minimizes telegraphing, and a follow-through that points the high arc exactly where the hoop will allow it to fall. He exercises micro-consistency. Leg drive calibrated to release, foot placement that permits immediate elevation, and a vision that reads screens and defender tips before the ball leaves. That release is the summation of thousands of repetitions. It is not a flashy trick. It is a machine tuned for the smallest margin of advantage. Comparisons help us locate Curry in basketball's long story. Reggie Miller and Ray Allen were technicians who revealed the three as a decisive weapon in their time. Curry amplified their lessons, stretching distance and volume into a season-long production line. Larry Bird was a craftsman. Curry shares Bird's cerebral posture, but applies it through range and velocity. Steve Nash is a spiritual antecedent in terms of craft and shooting intelligence. Curry builds on Nash's precision with an expanded toolkit. Pete Maravich's audacity and creativity hint at the cultural daring Curry brought to the shot. Yet Curry is not simply their sum, he is a redefinition, a guard who turns a perceived weakness, lack of elite size or top-end vertical, into an absolute advantage by mechanizing precision. Beyond pure shooting, Curry's playmaking is central. He is a passer who sees lanes created by his own gravity, pick-and-roll rollouts where the defense's outstretched help yields a skip pass, and a facilitator who elevates others. His assist numbers reflect an offense whose primary engine is spacing, not isolation. When defenses collapse on Curry, the result is often an open three for a teammate. When they overcommit to the shooters, he drives into the teeth of help and converts or finds a cutter. The offense is symbiotic. His shooting creates space, his passing exploits it, and his teammates convert. The Warriors dynasty framed Curry in a collective narrative. The movement from underdog franchise to dynasty that reset expectations. It was not only Curry, it was a constellation including Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and later Kevin Durant. But Curry's role as the gravitational center is undeniable. He set conditions for others to excel, and as teammates evolved, Curry adapted. The Splash Brothers pairing with Klay Thompson, for instance, became a case study in complementary skill sets. Curry's off-dribble creation and Klay's catch-and-shoot finesse combined to punish defenses both on the move and at rest. Curry's cultural effect is vast. Kids shoot farther, practice differently, and pursue accuracy over brute verticality. The street-level game now includes deep attempts that a decade earlier were considered low-percentage arrogance. Coaches at every level emphasize range and repetition. Analytics and intuition find a rare harmony in Curry's execution. His brand, modest, family-oriented, playful, made shooting accessible. The range did not remain an elite novelty. It became a child's hopeful replica, a coach's training priority, and a GM's metric. Curry had to adapt constantly. He suffered injuries and setbacks, and each required recalibration. He adjusted shooting mechanics, worked on his mid-range and floater to diversify scoring when deep looks were contested, and invested in his body to prolong his prime. That adaptability is central to his story. A player whose core skill is repetition also demonstrated the capacity to evolve that repetition into new contexts when necessary. Critics also point to limitations. Curry is not a defensive pillar. He can be attacked by stronger guards, and his physicality is not LeBron-like. Teams have employed targeted defensive schemes, double screens, hard hedges, and quarter-court traps to slow Curry's rhythm. Yet his career's arc is the story of countermeasures. When opponents design schemes to grind him, Curry and his coaches discover openings through movement, spacing, and lineup adjustments. This iterative chess match is part of the drama. The social impact of Curry's game is also evident in roster construction. Teams now prize shooters, floor spacers, and versatile defenders who can chase out to the perimeter without sacrificing rim protection. Draft boards shifted, player development programs reprioritized shooting mechanics. Curry's influence is structural. not only in highlight reels, but in the economics of roster building, in scouting, and in the kinds of prospects franchises now covet. Off the court, Curry's leadership style is instructive. He leads by example with a quiet intensity, positive reinforcement, and intelligent humor. He invites commitment rather than commands it. Younger players respond to a standard of craft, and Curry's presence becomes a cultural anchor in the locker room. The combination of humility and relentless work ethic creates a template for how modern superstars can be both commercially marketable and deeply team-oriented. The story's cinematic moments are many and varied. The Curry long-range barrage against the Oklahoma City Thunder, the clutch late-game sequences in the 2015 playoffs, the 2016 MVP season's barrage of records, the 2019 injury and return arc, and the 2022 championship run that many saw as the crowning validation. Comparisons to modern stars refine the view. Against LeBron James, Curry is an architect of space. LeBron is a force of gravity and passing. Against Kevin Durant, Curry is more of a system maker, while Durant is the singular scoring specialist. Against Luka Doncic and Jason Tatum, Curry represents a prototype. Relentless movement, shot creation from distance, and an ability to change the geometry of a half-court set. Young guards emulate parts of Curry's game, but few match his complete package. Range, rhythm, shot creation, and a situational awareness that balances aggression with timing. The game has changed because of Curry in measurable ways. League-wide three-point attempts have skyrocketed, corner threes became more valued, pick-and-roll defenses adjusted, and the value of a rapid-release guard soared. But perhaps the most lasting change is psychological. Players and coaches now see range not as a luxury, but as a principal weapon. Curry did not merely make more threes, he changed incentives. He made the long-distance attempt not just efficient in analytics, but emotionally decisive, because it moves crowds, forces rotations, and alters the feel of a game. The rookie and early years, Curry's arrival in the NBA was modest in fanfare and immense in implication. Scouts saw a shooter, sure, but few anticipated how a systematic offense would be built to maximize a microsecond release. The early ankle injuries taught the organization and Curry something crucial. Longevity requires biomechanics and disciplined load management. Training rooms became laboratories. He rewired his conditioning to preserve his lower legs, tweak jump mechanics, and strengthen the kinetic chain that supports high-frequency shooting. The rise to stardom. As Curry matured, his game exploded with creativity that felt both ancient and futuristic. He learned to manipulate defenders with pace and change of direction that was subtle enough to be cinematic. Opponents attempted to hedge and recover, sometimes trapping on screens to deny him the space to create. Curry's counter was not always brute force. It was movement, off-the-ball sprints, flares, and constant repositioning. He became a master at feeding off momentum created by teammate rotation rather than manufacturing space exclusively through isolation. The championship metal years, winning never arrives by accident. In 2015, the Warriors built a system around movement, pace, and shared responsibility. Curry's role was paradoxical, both central and liberating. He was the first option, yet the team's offense thrived when he deferred, when his mere presence offered spacing instead of a single focus on scoring. Game 7 moments and decisive playoff possessions are not merely points. They are decisions that compress a player's intelligence, discipline, and courage into traceable outcomes. The 2016 season and the counterfactual, the unanimous MVP season, was a triumph of craft and volume, but it culminated in a loss in the NBA Finals that reminded everyone of the game's oscillations. That season remains an object lesson. Statistical dominance and cultural dominance do not guarantee championship outcomes. The loss forced Curry and the organization to refine, to anticipate countermeasures, and to deepen their roster. The Warriors' subsequent moves, adding elite wings and tightening defense, were responses to the league's shifting tactical landscape. The Durant years and the moral complexity of super teams, the decision to add Kevin Durant was controversial in public discourse. From a basketball standpoint, adding one of the game's purest scorers to a system already built around movement and shooting created a new dimension. Curry responded not with resentment, but by adapting his game to a new constellation, sharing touches, moving more off the ball, and embracing a role that sometimes required fewer on-ball heroics. The The team's success during those seasons was both glorious and complicated, a study in how great pieces can coexist and how individual legacies intersect with collective achievements. The injury chapter and the comeback. Injuries remind us that human bodies are vulnerable. Curry's periods of recovery were times of reflection and technical recalibration. He emerged with renewed attention to conditioning, improved shot selection when defenses were particularly intense, and a matured sense of pacing. The 2022 championship, long after the MVP coronations and record-breaking seasons, often reads as the season when Curry's career absorbed its hardships and returned to claim definitive confirmation that his brand of excellence could withstand time and adversity. Deep film study, pick-and-roll mechanics reveal Curry's mastery beyond the shot. He reads the screener's role, the weak side rotations, and help defense foot angles. Rather than always attacking, he sometimes manipulates the clock, letting the defense shift, drawing help and baiting rotations that leave corners empty. Watch at full speed, and then in freeze frame. His head position, hip alignment, and dribble posture signal the decision before the ball leaves his hands. Those micro gestures allow him to function as a chess master on a 90-second shot clock. The art of the catch and shoot, a key dimension of Curry's excellence, is his ability to transform catch and shoot into a near-automatic offensive engine. The catch and shoot is predicated on spacing and timing. Curry's movement and his teammates' movement make the catch and shoot a near-automatic conversion mechanism because the defense must decide between hanging on his hip or rotating, and in either choice, Curry finds an advantage. The cinematic beauty of Curry's catch and shoot is that it looks like poetry. The ball lands on the receiver's palms, and the release is already in motion. Defensive growth and limits. Early criticisms of Curry's defense were common. He is not the league's most tenacious on-ball defender, and larger guards and wings have periodically used that as an angle of attack. Yet Curry's defensive IQ often shows in rotation reads, in forcing turnovers, and in contesting closeouts with position and leverage. Draymond Green's presence in the defense amplifies Curry's defensive profile. Together, they model how a superstar can be paired with a defensive anchor to mitigate individual vulnerabilities. That pairing demonstrates another truth. A superstar's weaknesses can be covered by team architecture, and Curry's success is as much about the roster around him as about his own skill. The psychology of shooting. Curry's mentality around shots is instructive. Where many players treat misses as demoralizing events, Curry treats them as data points. He shoots to the rim with habitual confidence because he has internalized the math of variance and repetition. Weeks of practice instruct the nervous system to tolerate the possibility of misses. Games then become exercises in probabilistic faith. When the ball leaves his hands, the viewer sees the motion. The player sees thousands of prior repetitions validating that motion's expected value. Technical influence on youth development. In gyms worldwide, young players now exercise deep-range shots. Coaches adapt training drills, adding more work on off-dribble shooting from distance, step-back mechanics, and catch-and-shoot timing. The youth movement fosters a generation of players whose first instinct is to shoot deeper, to move without the ball, and to value precise movement. Curry's career thus shapes not only professional rosters, but the developmental priorities of future prospects. The ripple effects will persist for decades in how players are trained from adolescence. Equipment and shoe culture. Curry's partnership with Under Armour changed the sneaker narrative for guards and technical players. The signature shoes were designed for stability, traction, and the micro movements that his game demands. Unlike dunk-first stars who emphasize vertical cushion, Curry's shoes emphasize lateral support and cushioning that absorbs repeated low to medium height jumps. The footwear industry responded by designing models that support high-frequency shooters, reflecting the sport's evolving technical needs. Brand and culture. Curry's media presence, humble, family-centered, and technical in focus, made his brand accessible. He used his platform to teach, to showcase training drills, and to promote basketball fundamentals. His approachable persona contrasted with the hyper-macho sports archetype and helped broaden the sport's audience. Sponsors and media welcomed a star who personified craft and relatability rather than invincibility. Curry's influence on culture is not flash. It is consistent. Charity work, educational initiatives, and a tone that normalized excellence without ostentation. Strategic countermeasures and coaching innovations, the league attempted multiple systematic countermeasures to contain Curry. Hard hedges, controlled traps, and switching schemes were tried with varying success. Some teams attempted to blitz him early and force the ball out of his hands. Curry's counters involved off-ball movement, rerouted pick-and-roll sets, and staggered screens that exploited the very strategies meant to stop him. Coaches learned a new vocabulary: live stagger, slip and pop, and reroute motion. The tactical arms race around Curry accelerated innovation across the league. The record book and statistical footnotes, Curry's accumulation of three-pointers, MVPs and championships place him in the sport's upper echelons. But numbers, while essential, do not fully capture the systemic shift he created. The metrics that matter most in his case are not isolated totals, but the league-wide mechanics that followed: increased three-point attempts, the corner three's elevated value, and the higher valuation of quick release guards in the draft. When analysts account for expected points per possession and the structural reshaping of offenses, Curry's imprint becomes undeniable. The generational debate. Sports debates love binaries. Who is the greatest? Curry's case changes the terms. Greatness is not only rings or scoring titles, it includes altering how the sport is played at every level. He is part of an enlarged conversation about influence and innovation. When younger players prioritize range, when GMs draft differently, and when coaches adjust schemes, the source of that change matters. Curry's influence is not merely personal excellence, it is systemic realignment. Leadership beyond stats. Curry's leadership is a combination of visible rituals and invisible rigors. He leads through the serenity of his practice, the precision of his shot, and the humility of his demeanor. Younger teammates often cite his example as the cultural center of the team: work, respect, and sustained joy in the craft. Those soft cultural traits matter in a league where ego can fracture teams. Curry's centered presence provides a counterbalance: relentless work married to human warmth. The legacy arc. As seasons accumulate, Curry's journey will be read in multiple registers: as a revolution in shooting, as a multi-championship leader, and as a cultural touchstone. Future historians will note how he made the long-range shot commonplace and how his presence shaped roster construction and player development. But they will also note the human story: the athlete who trained in quiet repetition, who overcame injuries, who adjusted his game, and who returned to capture championships at various points in his career. In the end, the simplest truth is this: Stephen Curry turned a private, repetitive devotion into a public shift. The sound of his release is now part of basketball's global soundtrack. Coaches teach it in basements, kids replay it on phones, franchises build rosters around its inevitability. That is how revolutions usually arrive, not with a single thunderclap, but with patience, repetition, and an insistence that a small motion can become a new rule. Curry did exactly that.